Financial statement, now, if I'm not mistaken, there's supposed to be a financial statement that's filed with the clerk's office every year by June the 1st, according to, did you read that? In the...
Yeah, there's a couple of dates on there, but as we have discussed this with Board Attorney on his counsel, is that we may need to petition court in order for us to implement this instrument today, under circumstances that we're in today. For instance, that date, it's a little too late in July to be giving a scholarship to a kid who graduated in May and is already at a university somewhere. It's not impossible, but it's probably not the best circumstances to help those children who are in need and need that support. So there's, and as far as the heirs or successors of those who are identified in the instrument itself, we may need to petition the court to be able to give us some flexibility or give us some guidelines to how we can issue these scholarships in the best way for what's best for the kid or the recipient.
So I know I read something about disinterested parties, and from what I read, the board was not supposed to have anything. The board thing was kind of like hands off.
I think we're going in the right direction.
Yeah,
we're going to get a good finding.
Yeah, I would like to find successors to these. I called Monroe Cassidy. I thought maybe he might have been. Monroe's not. That was his dad's uncle. And as far as the Crum, someone said that John Crum has a son named Frank. Is that correct? Frank. Okay, so it could be some of John's, heirs and that. Well, the thing I'd like to do is get it set up to where it's separate from the board, and have these folks run it, and actually run it in the spirit. The thing that really impresses me is that this guy's a UK professor. So much impressed with the character of students that he had from Martin County. From what I understand, he never set foot in this county at all, but he was so much impressed with the character that he set up this scholarship to help, to help needy, worthy students go to school. So that was.
But again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to call me.
What month is that supposed to show up in? What month is that to show up in?
That's when the payments were made.
Okay, that would show up in June. And it would show up in the treasurer's order, right? Did you see it?
As far as you guys approve all bills, it's supposed to.
Okay, but
And it was
the only thing I look for is
you have to ask her where it's from. She's the one who puts them in.
It was most likely at the bottom of the treasurer's orders
for the month of
T. The vendors' names would have begun with a T. So you would have had to go from the top all the way down to the bottom of the treasurer's orders if you were reading them. Now, if Mr. Meadows wants me to at a work session, I wouldn't mind just scanning through every vendor on the treasurer's orders and going over it with you and giving you a general idea. I mean, it wouldn't take 5 minutes.
Yeah,
because a lot of them are utilities, a lot of them are transportation parts.
But that would be very tedious.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't take 5 minutes, but, as you scan down, you'll see vendors like State Electric. Certain vendors are transportation. It's just people's names that might stick out that you might have questions, and that's what, the board can ask questions about particular vendors. And we have those bills, we'll have those bills present at a board meeting.
So
in 5 minutes.
Well, they're posted on the website.
And yes.
So this was on the treasurer's orders for the month of June.
Well, it's just nasty. And it wasn't, we saw 5,000, 6,000.
Yeah.
As far as something I have been making, as far as recommendations to some other districts, as far as I always have them to request a vendor list to whom you make payments to, whether it's $1 or $1 million. And as far as the board can scan this list to see who's actually being paid, because you guys are supposed to be reviewing the bills. If you see someone on the list
that's normally not on there,
shouldn't be on there, then you're to start asking questions. Who's this person? Why are they being paid $5,000, why would they pay $10? But it's a good way for you guys to see what's going on out there, because who's to say, not saying anybody would ever do this in Martin County School District, but who's to say that you may not get some bills for payment? All it requires is 2 signatures on the check. They may go ahead, if a person could, as far as they wanted to do wrong, you can go ahead and send a check out. You guys would never ever see the bill, then you'd never know that it got paid. But by getting this vendor list and scanning through it, you can tell if someone's on there that should be, like someone's family, some relatives, or anything. As far as, I mean, I'm not saying anything that's would ever happen like this in Martin County School District, but it does happen, and I have seen it in other districts.
And Daryl, we had an audit several years ago, and they recommended that we do a paid warrant outside the board meeting. Anything that's paid outside the board meeting, utilities, anything that's paid outside the board meeting to avoid late charges, we make sure the board has a list of those also. So not only with the treasurer's orders, but also the paid warrant list.
You've been saying a question we could just ask.
But again, if you guys ever have any questions, feel free to contact me. That's what I'm here for, is to try to help you guys progress. Another thing, as far as we need to watch our expenses. If we don't need it, don't buy it. Because we've got a pretty low fund balance right now. We need to try to build it up.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
I'll tell you, Darryl, before you leave, I'm going to tell a story on you here. I always need good humor. I went over to the high school when he was conducting his audits here at the beginning of the year, and I was walking through the high school, and the high school was having professional development day, and everybody was in the library, and I'm walking down the hallway, and I see this guy in the classroom, just sitting at his desk, and he's working on papers, and I walked down the hall, I said, Ronnie, who is that guy down there? He doesn't, don't you want all your teachers in professional development? And of course, Darryl saw me as I was looking in there and gave him that quizzical look, and who was he and what was he doing? But then Robbie said, no, that's the auditor. So we even want our auditors involved in professional development around here. That's the high expectation for student achievement. But Darryl, we really appreciate your analysis, your findings that you brought to the table, and certainly the exit interview that you and I and Tammy had was very important as well.
I like the thing that you said of anything outside the ordinary. Which I've asked Tammy a few times, anything on the Mountain Citizen. So that's all work. I don't know if there would be any kind of conflict. But anything outside the ordinary. I mean, you're going to have payment to our board attorneys and things like that. Our regular fuel bill and stuff like that. It'd be very easy for stuff like this to slip by. Especially, we paying our referees and things like that, officials, is this on this list or is this on a...
We don't have to, the school activity accounts can pay the referees this year.
I remember
and they would be paid through payroll.
I remember when Josh, referee games, that he was on a vendor's list, and I thought his name on there. This is, it seems like there would be a much easier, more efficient way to do this than rather scan this very, very closely every time to look for stuff like that. There's not it.
But what you got to keep in mind, everything reflects back on the board. If something goes through that shouldn't have done, because they're expecting people to be the eyes and ears of the district. So you want to make sure you just protect yourself. You want to make sure you know what you're proving before saying, okay, we both approve the monthly bills.
And how could we put that, like in the form of a question, say to our board treasurer every...
It's subjective.
Yeah, I know.
Subjective, so...
Is there anything unusual? Is there anything that we should know about? I mean, certainly 2 checks of superintendent's sons would be something that I would want to know about.
And what might be good is just a print report each month prior to the
I can do that. And
the report member could scan through it.
right, and we'll have the bills here, and if you have a question about anything, we have our copy. Yes. And yes.
So the scholarship, I guess it's Ronnie's back there, it's already public record.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda.
Do we need to approve that? Got it?
Yes.
Approval of financial audit. Okay, I need a motion to approve the financial audit for school term 2012-2013. Have a motion? Further discussion?
The thing that really bugs me on this page 48 is non-compliance material to financial statements noted, and it's got yes.
Where you at, Gary?
It's on page 48.
And that's the finding.
That's a non-compliant, that's a finding, and that deals with the scholarship.
That's the only one I asked that to.
We got really burnt on that. That's nice.
Board, I will respectfully submit to you, the board superintendent relationship is on trust. I mean, it's just, there's no way around that. You would have to be in here every day, just as I am, or Ms. Sloan is in the finances. It's going to come down to trust. Now, what is it? A trust, but verify. I think it's important that you put your eyes on the documents that are sent to you. The accountability is there, and it needs to be very high. The bar needs to be very high. I know that, and I believe that if you speak with the district leadership, and that we've set it pretty high, the accountability, since I came in July 1. I look at everything. Some things I don't want to look at, but I don't think I need to look at, but I do anyhow, because I know that if I get asked a question, I need to be able to answer that, whether that's sitting here in a board meeting, or if you call me on the phone and say, hey, Meadows, what's this expenditure? What's that mean? I need to be able to respond to that.
Well, there's a I know there's a provision with the Education Professional Standards Board. Is where all members of the education profession are supposed to be in their dealings with fellow members. They should be honest and above board. This actually burnt me, so I will take care of this. I will take care of this.
A motion to approve the audit on the table.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion.
You need a second.
Yeah, I'll second the motion.
Roger, okay, all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is discussion and or possible action on tax hearing 2013.
Okay, the reason why we're here primarily is because of the tax hearing is a recallable .1, which brought our tax rate up to a 60.3, as you may recall. And that .1 is recallable. This is not good for anyone who petition or has questions.
For the audience, I just want
Yes, sir.
to speak. My name's Thomas Winston. I live over here at Newberry Lane. Most of you know me. I'm against any tax increase. I mean, right now I pay over $400 a year in taxes. That's just property. Now, we're not talking about utility where we have to pay a tax, school tax. You know, every bill I get, I have to pay a school tax on. You know what I'm saying? The mine's just laying off. There's no work. You know, I mean, people's losing their jobs every day. And I understand, you know what I'm saying? You guys know what it's like to try to live. You know, 4% may not sound like a whole lot, but that's a lot of money, you know. I seen in the paper where Mr. Harrison would be $20 a person. I don't know where he come up with that number there, but I'd be gladly to pay a $20 flat rate, give you guys $20, you know, instead of tacking on 4% on my property. You know what I'm saying?
Well, if you've got,
I just can't afford it. I mean, you know, like I said, that's a lot of money to come up with one time, you know, then you not counting Christmas, you know. I don't know what it is. Insurance company, petroleum company, everybody thinks it's Eastern Kentucky. Everybody, the richest people in the world's in Eastern Kentucky, and they're not. So, you know, I just wanted to voice my opinion on it. I'm against it, and I'm sure probably everybody in Martinsville is,
Yeah.
but according to the turnout, it don't look that way, but I'm sure I'm speaking